When I was 14, my band director said, "Hey Brian, we have these beginners and you're doing a pretty good job playing these days. What if we send the beginners to you for lessons? How would that be?" And I thought, wow, sounds like a great part-time job to me. So almost nonstop since I was 14, I've been teaching private lessons. Great. And what other things can you do to get this decrescendo over these 4 bars? And I enjoyed the relationships and sitting with them and just helping them figure things out. I mean, I really enjoyed that nurturing process, from the very beginning. Nice, exactly.
The hardest part is about moving really fast, because sometimes you have to move from left to right really quickly, and you have to get used to the speed and make sure you hit the right note at the right time. It makes me feel like I can express my emotion sometimes through the music. Like if the music's supposed to sound a little sad in a way, makes me express a little bit some sad stuff. It calms me down sometimes too.
Take a look at it. Take a look at it on the music. What's the most efficient way to get this stuff across to a really young mind? Let's just start at the top. I created this book called The Snare Drum Plays the Zoo. I started it in 1999, and I finally actually printed it, self-published it in 2004. It essentially takes something that every child is an expert at, which is language, and converts their way of saying certain words into playing those rhythms on the drum. And I chose the animal kingdom to be my rhythmical words that are used in the book. Combine them with a certain hand pattern on the drum, and it's always the same experience for every rhythm. And then I show them the symbols that go with each of the rhythms that they've learned how to speak and play. And now the symbol just means, oh, just do this. So it's that and that, yeah? Mezzo piano and a crescendo at the end. This way you can focus more on what's happening here and less on what's on the page. It's really based on the same way we all learned how to speak and then read and then write language.
In percussion, you have so many different instruments to choose from. There's a giant variety of them. So it's really amazing that you get to play all different kinds of instruments.
That's fantastic.
Well, I like it when I'm challenged, so I'll tell them what I want to be better, and they'll tell me, make it the Libby King standard.
A few years ago, a friend of mine, Brad Richter, who's been doing a program called Lead Guitar since 1999, Brad contacted me and he said, "Brian, we'd like to start a percussion program that uses the same model as our lead guitar program. So would you be interested in doing that with us?" So I said, "Brad, I would love to do that. Let's get it going." So we decided to call it Upbeat. And these programs are offered to the Tucson community by both UA Presents and the University of Arizona's College of Fine Arts. Kingfisher, Kingfisher.
And they work on group drumming skills. They're learning to read music notation. They're learning to play as a group. They're doing things like composing their own music. They're doing a little bit of improvisation. Just like when you took your first steps and you might have fallen down, you just have to keep doing it over and over again, and getting these kids this practice this early, getting them thinking creatively, thinking outside the box. I mean, it has plenty of dividends in music that it's going to pay off on, but that kind of thinking pays off in any realm of life.
It's a great opportunity for kids to learn how to express themselves in a different way, and some students really thrive in that type of environment, which is great for kids to be allowed to show how good they can be at something at school when they may not be good at other things. And so if we can get a kid hooked on music at a younger age, then when they go to the junior high and the high school, they have something automatically to hook into, where they're going to be able to form positive relationships with kids who have the same interest as they do. And they're more likely to finish high school and be more successful when they're in secondary school.
Learning that sense of you have to do your best, not just for your sake, but for everybody's sake, I think is really important. And it's amazing hearing some of these kids' stories and the things that they have to deal with. And then they come in here and it's like, you're in band, you're in orchestra, you're part of the upbeat class. And none of that stuff matters. Here, you're a musician, here you're playing with us, here we're making music together.
Just maintaining and developing a relationship with the student is absolutely top priority, because without that, nothing else can really take place on a genuine level. And I have students who are going on, once they graduate from high school, they're some of the best jazz drummers in the country, and they're moving on to Manhattan School of Music or auditioning for Juilliard. The important thing that my students get is just to get a positive connection with themselves so that they know how to talk themselves through difficulties, challenges, and come out on the other side with more understanding of themselves and the challenges that they've actually faced and gotten through and succeeded at. Yeah, it was much better, right? That's really what this is about. And it doesn't matter if we're playing drums or violin or really anything. It's just about how do I go from not knowing something to being an expert at it as quickly as I can, as honestly with myself as I possibly can. Cool? Yeah. Great.
You can share the love of your instrument together, and even the whole band. You share the love of making music together. So I want to be in things like that, and I think that I will continue with music because I love it so much.
So there's this development of self-awareness, awareness in the moment, like what's really happening right now as I'm having this experience. I know that the best thing to do is just give them something every time they walk in and let them leave with a positive outlook on whatever we're doing. It's way more than that. It's helping their child actually learn to be good people. And that's what I strive for every day when I walk down here. It's really important to me.